Hey everybody, it's me, Just Keeks, back with a brand new video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Avatar Last Airbender comics that came out from Dark Horse Comics. So with all that said and done, let's jump right into the video. Alright, let's get started with this video. So recently, I've been rewatching Avatar Last Airbender and just finished Legend of Korra. And I've been watching with my dad. We've gone through all the episodes. And when Avatar ended, it kind of ended. They closed up everything, but if y'all remember the last scene with Zuko and his father Ozai, Zuko asked where his mother was, and then that was just left open in the air. Well, story goes, we were supposed to get a movie. I guess I don't know if they were planning like a theatrical movie or if they were planning like a TV movie later on down the line. Um, but then we got the M. Night Shyamalan disaster, and I guess Nickelodeon didn't want to do anything, so they did the comics instead. And they worked with Dark Horse and everything for the story, and so they kind of went to a deeper, more mature storyline in the comics. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes in the comics. So the first comic in the series, called The Promise, basically takes place 1 year after the war has ended, right? Zuko is now Fire Lord and everything, and he's trying to keep everything in balance. And they're working on getting like the Fire Nation colonies out of the Earth Kingdom and get the Fire Nation people, I guess, back to their own lands and all this, back to the Fire Nation and whatnot. And things come to a head when this one Fire Nation colony, Udao, one of their citizens basically tries to assassinate Zuko, and it's this young Earthbender girl, but her father is from the Fire Nation, and so even though she's part of the colonies, she identifies as a member of the Fire Nation, even though she's an Earthbender and all that. So Zuko realizes that like, and this colony, Udao, was one of the first colonies that states that. So none of the people there want to leave. And it's a mixture of like earthbenders and firebenders married and working together, right? Um, and they're actually living life together and everything. So Zuko sees this, and he realizes he just can't force people out, and it causes a whole thing between him and Earth King Quay. I kind of went over this in my King Quay video a little bit, not in full details because I wanted to talk about it more here in this video. It kind of caused like a whole thing between them. Like Quay, he doesn't want to be seen as like a weak leader anymore since he's been controlled by the Dai Li and all that. And he's made this deal with Zuko like okay, you're gonna get your Fire Nation citizens out. We're gonna get rid of these colonies, but then they don't really go and see what the colonies want, right? And it turns out most of these colonies, they've been like around for so long, it's become part of their lives, right? So this whole thing, and the main plot point of the promise, the main storyline throughout all this, is that Zuko, he's really worried about becoming like his father. He's worried about becoming like a tyrant. Um, and and he feels that push, to go to war because he wants to protect his people. He wants to protect his people, even like the people who are living in this colony, all of them, firebenders, earthbenders. So he asked the reason. This is the reason it's called the promise, right? He asks Aang. He tells Aang, "I want you to promise me if ever seems like I'm making a choice like Ozai or becoming like Ozai, finish me. Just end me right there." And this starts a struggle within Aang, who would never want to kill his best friend, and he goes to Roku for advice. Not device. He goes to Roku for advice, right? And Roku basically tells like if I could redo things, um, I would have ended Sozin, so the war wouldn't have started, and none of these things would have happened. But I didn't make that choice, and it's up to you to make that choice what you want to do. Basically, it's like he gives them advice without saying like all that. Um, but I digress. So they almost got to all-out war, over this, and there's some other stuff going on in the comics. This is where we see Toph start building her start making her metal bending academy that I guess eventually is going to become the police force for Republic City. All the stuff that happens in these comics are like little setups for what we see like in core, like down the line. Like we eventually see the town that's going to become Republic City, and I'll get to that when we get to those comics. So this first one is pretty good. It's pretty fun. Um, love Zuko's storyline. Zuko has this whole storyline. Like he's just struggling on like what to do, and he starts having nightmares, and he actually starts going to his father for advice. Just get his input on things. And his father's basically telling him like you need to do whatever you need to do whatever you need to do to protect your people. You're the Fire Lord. You gotta think about your other people. But like not like in a caring way. It's more like you're the Fire Lord and these people are your subjects. So you gotta use all your power to protect your subjects. Um and but he's still like manipulative and everything. And when he doesn't want to talk to Zuko, he basically like tells him to get out and don't show his face to him anymore. It's a whole thing. But Zuko's doing this in secret, and my May finds out. Sorry, May finds out, and her and Zuko break up like in this first comic. And then the Sokka's storyline was he just basically works with Tov to like motivate her new metal building students, which she calls Lily Lovers, until they start showing like improvement. And it's a whole thing. And then like towards the end, like the Earth King is sending out army to you now. Zuko's sending out his army, and they meet in the middle of this whole clash. And Aang struggles with deciding like, what do I do? Do I kill Zuko and end him and everything because he's going too far? And finally, he makes a choice to like stop everything. And they get the Earth King to see like the town and everything you down, and he realizes that maybe maybe benders of different nations and stuff can live together in these colonies. And this starts where they start to set up like a like government own government for these colonies and everything. And Zuko realizes he was right in protecting the colonies because it's just these are the people's lives, this is what they're used to, and they don't want to just be forced out, and have their homes destroyed and whatnot, you know. So they form this new government and everything. It's a small little government. It's not Republic City yet. It's not Republic City or anything like that. In fact, Udao isn't the town that becomes Republic City. That's a whole different town. Um, but this is really like a great beginning. It's pretty simple. Um, very straightforward story afterwards. Major things that happen in this, I would have to say, is Aang. Um, in the comics, Aang wears this amulet, like this meditation necklace, right? And it has like these stone circles on them, which like each circle has one element on it. And he uses that when he meditates. He usually holds one, so he can meditate and contact one of the previous avatars. Like if he holds a little stone on the necklace with the fire firebending symbol on it, he gets in touch with Roku, and actually he severs this connection because he doesn't want to listen to Roku's advice, and he actually breaks that stone and severs the connection. He finds out later this actually severed his connection to all previous avatars, but we'll get to that in a bit. So guys, I give this one a 9 out of 10. Very fun read. Um, there is one thing I want to talk about that happened in these comics that like started with this one, but I'm gonna get to that at the end of the video. So stick for that. Anyways, let's move on to the second comic. So the next comic in the series is called The Search, and this is the one that's all about Zuko's mother and like what happened to her and everything. So this comic is interluded with like flashbacks to Ursa's past, and we found out that she was from a small village. She worked with like this theater company putting on plays and stuff. She actually put on like the play that Zuko talks about all the time with I can't remember the name of it. Love for the Dancing Dragon or something like that. Um, she was in a play of that and everything, and her best friend that she has for years, they kind of like have a thing going on, and he proposes to her. Same night he proposes to her, the Fire Lord Azulan shows up with his son Ozai, and he wants Ursa to marry his son because Ursa is the granddaughter of Roku, and they have this whole thing about keeping Fire Nation blood, Firebenders, Fire Nation royalty blood pure, and what could be more pure Firebender blood than I guess the granddaughter, I'm sorry, of an Avatar. So she's sort of like she's forced into this marriage, and her boyfriend tries to stop it. I can't remember his name right now. I can remember his fake name, which I'll get into like later. He tries to stop it, but and basically they're about to kill him, but Ursa asks Ozai to spare his life, and that if he does that, she'll do whatever. She'll go with him and all that. So Ozai does that and everything. So they go and they get married and stuff, and like she realizes her whole life's changed because Ozai is just completely controlling. He basically tells her that like you're never gonna see your family again. You're mine now forever. So you better get used to it. And then there's a whole thing where we see um she's sending letters to her family in town, or at least she thinks it is. It turns out these letters aren't actually being sent. The person she's trusting to send these letters is actually a spy for Ozai, and she seems to catch on to this. So she writes like a fake letter to her ex, and she makes a statement that like Zuko is his son. And at one point in the comics, Zuko does find this, and he's completely shocked. This is not true all the way. It turns out this is a trick. Um, but the spy shows all the letters, and that's why he kind of like Ozai. He knows this isn't true. He knows it's just Ursa messing with him, right? But he sends out an assassin, Yuan Archer, to go out and kill Ursa's ex-boyfriend, who he cannot find. He goes to the village where he's from. He's nowhere to be found, or anything like that. And that's because the guy has completely changed his identity. Not even his identity, his complete face, which we're going to get into in a second. Um, So and then Ursa finds this out. Oh, also because the guy couldn't find the Ying archer that Ozai hired, couldn't find the guy he had been hired to kill. Ozai strips him of his rank and literally like I guess like banishes him. And this is actually like the archer that we see with the rough rhinos in the series, right? Um, so eventually like Ursa finds out about all this, and she's like, Zuko's your son. This was all a ploy. Like, how could you just go out and just kill some random person? And Ozai, like, realizes that Ursa wants nothing to do with him, and that she's doing everything she can to protect Zuko and keep Zuko from becoming like him, right? So, this is where we see, like, Ozai really, like, why he starts treating Zuko the way he does. He tells he tells Ursa like, you don't want Zuko. You wish Zuko was somebody else's son, fine, I'm gonna treat him like he's somebody else's son. I'm not gonna treat him like he's my son. So this is where we see like kind of like the abuse and emotional abuse of Zuko really start, and then it catches up to like what we see in Zuko alone in that episode, but we finally get to see like what actually happened. Um, so when Ursa pulled Azula out of the room to talk to her about the conversation she heard, Azula tells her, I heard Grandpa tell Dad that he has to kill Zuko to make up for like trying to betray Uncle Iroh and all that and all this stuff, right? So Ursula confronts Ozai. Ozai confirms and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wait till he's asleep, so be quick." And Ursula basically begs him, "It's like I'll give you anything you want. Just let me know. I know what you want. I can help you get it." And Ozai's like, What do you think I want?" And Ursula says, like, "The only thing you want is a throne, and I can help you get that." And she tells him that she can make a poison that can't be detected or anything. They can slip it in the Fire Lord Zulon's drink and everything. So they planned this, and this is basically how Fire Lord Zulon died. Ursa poisoned him so Ozai could take the throne. Um, I guess they lied. I guess they told whoever was like, "Oh yeah, Zulon died," and he said me, Ozai, his second son, uh, should be Fire Lord. So yeah, but I digress with that again. So because she knows how to make this poison, Ozai, he's like, you know how to do this. You know how to make this poison. You could easily poison me, so I can't trust you. So he banishes Ursa, and that's why she leaves. So she goes back to her home village and everything. She's fine. She finds out that her parents have passed and everything, and she meets this man who now runs the theater company she used to work at, and his name is Norin, right? Which is the name of a character from the play Love of the Dragon, and they get together. And this man he recognized her because it turns out this man is actually her ex. And what happened was that after she left, he went to like I don't remember the name of the area, but it was like Forgetful Valley or something like that, right? So he went to this valley called Forgetful Valley or whatever, and there's a spirit there that comes around known as the mother of faces, and she's a spirit that like every human being spirit, you know, basically everything that has a face, she has created everybody's face, right? Come on. All right. So I had to let my dog in. Just create everybody's face, the whole entire world, human spirit, whatever. Also, she's the mother of Ko, and the reason Ko steals faces is because their relationship is sort of like it's not that great. So he steals faces to get like try to get like improvement and like get her attention, all this stuff. Like it's a very very weird relationship. Got a mother who makes faces, got a son who steals faces. Crazy, it's pretty crazy. Um, So Norin tells Ursa this, and she decides she's gonna have her face changed too. Um, so they go and they find the mother of faces, and because of all her sadness and grief of leaving her children, which the spirit senses, the mother of faces tells Ursa, "I can not only change your face, I can change your identity and make you forget the stuff that you don't want to remember." And she wants to forget everything about her life and like the Fire Nation palace and all that, right? She wants to forget about her life with Ozai and everything. She doesn't want to forget about Zuko and Azula, but because they're part of the life, she has to. Otherwise, it won't work. So, Mother of the Year, she just decides to forget about her children. Okay, and start a new life. All right, cool. I'm not gonna judge. Uh, so Mother Faces gives her a new face, new identity. Her name's like Norika or something like that, right? So now she's living in this village. So this is where she's been the whole time. She's been living in this village while Zuko's been being abused and burned and, you know, having no idea of like the stuff he's going through, right? And, Zula's just growing up, becoming crazy, right? So the main plot line of search is that Zuko decides to look for his mother and he brings Azula along. So it's him, Aang, Sokka, Katara, and he brings Azula along. Azula is like basically really crazy in this comic. What we saw like in the last episode of the series, where she was basically like so like unhinged, and she was seeing her mother, everywhere talk to her and stuff. That's still going on, and she's convinced that like Ursa is like messing with her, and it's the reason that she's not on the throne anymore, and she wants revenge on her and stuff for like abandoning her. So they go searching for their mom and stuff, and this whole thing. They go to the village, right? And they eventually find out about the spirit and everything. And they meet this lovely couple, Norin and his wife Norika, and their daughter. I can't remember the daughter's right name. I believe it's the word I. No, it's with a K. It was like Key. It was like Kiyi, Key or something like that. Um, so yeah, so Zuko and Azula, they have like a half sister, right? They don't know when they first find out. Um, Zuko finds out that Azula's been keeping like letters, and this is where he finds out that where Ursa wrote that he was an Ozai's son, which of course turns out not to be true. So they go looking for like the spirit, and they go in Forgival Valley, and they find this water tribe girl. I don't remember if she was a waterbender or not, but she's traveling with some guy wearing a mask and everything, and they're looking for the spirit too. It turns out that Ko stole this guy's face, and that the sister, this is his sister, wants to wants to ask the mother of spirits to give them a new face, and they're going to the spirit to get answers. And turns out the spirit will only give like one answer, and there's a whole like thing where they get attacked and stuff, and eventually like Zuko finds out like who his mother is, like that this strange lady that opened her home to him, and everything is actually his mother, and she actually at the end of the story she gets her face and memories back. Um, Unbelievable. A lot happens. There's a huge like not a huge battle with the spirit, but there's like a lot that happens like towards the end. But the main part is that like Azula escapes because she's been kept in a mental institution this whole time, and she's only been taken. This is the only time she's been taken out, other than a time where she was taken to see Ozai, you know, and she ends up escaping and everything, which she comes to play later, and like not the next comic, but the next one after, basically. And Ursa, gets her memories back and everything, and she decides, her and her new family, they're going to go back with Zuko to the Fire Nation to live with him at the palace and everything, right? So yeah, story ends there, like happy ending. Of course, Azula escapes, not so happy, but Zuko got his mother back and everything. Um, Very fun read, very, very, very exciting and everything. Definitely, I give this one a 10 out of 10 because I enjoyed the story, thought it was interesting, and yeah, it's pretty fun. Alright, so let's jump into comic number 3. So the third comic in this like Dark Horse Avatar Last Airbender series is called The Rift. And The Rift is about Aang, mainly focuses on Aang, and we see like in like I think it starts like in the promise. We start to see this little like Aang fan club pop up, and they start like sort of like basically standing Aang, right, and like air nomad philosophy and airbender philosophy, and like they're like it starts off with just like girls, right? And they're shaving their heads, putting like arrow like markings on them and stuff. And Aang, like at first he's kind of like, oh, the fan club's cool. But when they start putting markings on their body, he's like, whoa, okay, that's like part of my culture and part of my tradition. Y'all need to slow down with this. But he kind of realized that this is a way to keep his traditions alive and stuff. So he takes them on as students. This is where we see the beginning of like the air acolytes that we see in like the Legend of Korra. These acolytes that take care of like the temples and stuff. Like they just learn the ways of the air nomad lifestyle and everything, and live it like the best they can. But they're not really like airbenders or like actual air nomads, right? So, but this is the start of all that. And so in the rift, he starts seeing visions of Avatar Yang, but like trying to speak to him, but you can't hear anything. And he realizes that this special holiday that like celebrates her is coming up. So he tells like all his Oculite students, like, we're gonna go to this place that's like so beautiful, so serene. It's just greenery and stuff. We're gonna go there. We're gonna do some festival stuff. We're gonna have like a picnic and eat some festival food. That's the right thing. And it's a very important ceremony and stuff. So they go to this place, and shows this place has had a town built over it, and there's a company called Earth the Refinery, which is like earthbenders and non-benders working together in this refinery, and they meet this man named Satoru, which Toph hits it off with, and I think he might be Suyen's father, um, from the series, because him and Toph really have a thing going on. And it turns out one of the owners of this company, one of the owners is Satoru's uncle, and the other one turns out to be Toph's dad, Lau. And Toph, who kind of wanted to go see her parents again, um, confronts her dad in a way, and hey dad, and all this. And Lau wants nothing to do with her. He says, "You're not my daughter. You need to get out of here. My daughter's proper and everything. She's not some, rough and tough earthbender." And so Toph has to deal with like all this and everything, right? And she eventually confronts her father, and like he has to accept it that this is his daughter, and he starts to see her for like who she truly is, a strong earthbender and a hero, which I'm gonna get into. Sorry, my mind goes over the place. I'm trying to talk about like all the beats of like the comic stuff. So 12 storyline is her like making amends with her father and everything, right? Um, and he's trying like this town's built on this sacred like airbender space, and he's trying to deal with it. Eventually, he makes a connection with Yang Chen, who gives us background story for this land, right? All right. So when she was alive, um, she was asked to come to this town to protect it from a spirit that was coming to destroy it, and it was a spirit known as General Old Iron, and he believed humans were corrupt and were gonna corrupt like everything. And Yang Chen, she did her thing right. She convinced the spirit that she was gonna keep this land the way it was. She wasn't gonna let anybody change it or anything. All right, and there was a town there at the beginning, but it got destroyed, right? Um, and it turns out the reason the spirit destroyed this town was because there was another spirit that had actually had fallen in love with a human, had fallen in love with the town at first, and then met like a prince who was very humbled and everything, right? And loved people and all this stuff. So the spirit fell in love with him because of the way he was and everything. He wasn't like regular humans to her or anything, or like humans that just love destruction and all that, right? Um, so she fell in love and actually took on the form of a human to be with this man, and then the spirit, because it was a human, she eventually she died. Which at some point, her lover, husband, found out that she was a spirit, So he felt guilt-ridden. But the spirit that's going to attack the town knew the spirit and was like angry that the spirit had chosen human life and everything. And they had actually made like a deal years ago, that the General Old Iron wouldn't attack this town and the spirit would protect it and everything. Because the spirit has now died, General Old Iron believes that it's because of humans the spirit died, even though it was the spirit's choice to take on human form. General Iron blames like humans, it comes to destroy the town. Avatar Yang Chen stops it and they make a deal and everything. So Avatar Yang Chen starts this ceremony, which eventually becomes like the festival. So like over the years, the Airbenders continue it, right? But now, there's people building on the land and stuff. There's industrial revolution going on this land and everything, and they're like digging into the ground, and they find the armor of these spirits, and like Satoru's uncle. He wants to get all this iron, right? He believes this iron is going to make him rich and everything. It turns out it's the armor of the spirit that's coming to destroy this town, so Aang has to figure out what to do. And this is where he learns that because he destroyed the stone on his meditation necklace, um, that connected him to Roku, he kind of lost his connection to all his previous avatars. He was able to connect to Yang Chen by doing some of the ceremony stuff, but he still has a connection, so he forms a new rock and everything, right? Cold coffee, disgusting. Forms a new rock and everything, right? Um, Vibrant and simple, and he established that connection to Roku again. So Roku comes back, right? And Aang apologizes for like, basically tossing him out and everything. I can handle your advice on, killing Zuko and all this. And Roku just tells him, like, I can only tell you what happened and what I wish I could have done. You have to make your own decisions. So like he's basically saying like I can give you advice, but at the end of it, Aang, as an avatar, you have to like ultimately make whatever decision you're gonna make. If you feel like you should save Zuko's life, if you feel like you should save Zuko's life in that moment, then that was the right thing for you to do. All right. Um. So if the spirit comes to destroy the town and everything, right? Satoru finds out his uncle's very corrupt and everything, and Lau finds out that his daughter's a hero. There's a whole thing where like a bunch of people get like trapped on the ground, and like Toph is basically just like holding the dirt and metal off them as best as she can because they're trapped within like this like dome with like the earth falling on top of them. So they get her metal sprinters coming and save them, and this is where they like kind of find these armor pieces and stuff. So the spirits coming, and Aang eventually finds out, the whole story behind everything, and he makes a promise to Spirit that no, wait, I almost forgot. He actually like they're being attacked and stuff, and Aang actually I forget how it happens exactly, but Aang basically he sends like he's trying to stop the spirit from attacking. I think it was Toph, and Aang basically kills the spirit. I forget how exactly it happened. There's a whole thing going on with Aang and Toph in this comic, where like Aang, he's kind of upset about the changes and stuff because they're on Airbender land to him, sacred land, right? And Toph is like, this is what happens, Aang. This, things change and stuff. You can't live like in the past and all that. Um, so what Aang's plan was to keep the spirit from coming to town. He was gonna destroy the town and the refinery and all that, right? Um, so when Toph realizes this, she tries to stop him, and at some point, the spirit starts attacking. So Aang shoots spirit with like I think it was like an air thing, or maybe it was like a firebending move. Basically, he shoots spirit, and the spirit ends up with like a gaping hole in its chest. And the spirit's like, I knew you humans like were no good. You know, you're always corrupting, destroying things. Humans and spirits will never live together. You call yourself the bridge avatar, and then like it just turns into lightness because it does that little thing, you know. But it turns to light and it just turns to like fluttering, like look like butterflies or something, right? Um, so Aang comes to relationships and say, you know, things are gonna change and everything. And I'm not doing this one too much justice because I really didn't care for it too much. It wasn't exciting as the first two. I would say like this one and like the last one, were ones that like I kind of was like, it's cool, but I don't really care for the story too much. It was cool seeing Toph deal with her dad and all that. Um, uh, what an asshole he was. Just totally ignoring his daughter and not acknowledging that she's a hero or the greatest earthbender ever, and she invented metal bending, dude. What is wrong with you? Um, there's some fun moments, but it's basically yeah, it's not my favorite. Not my favorite, but the town that we see in this comic very important. We're gonna go back there soon. Anyways, let's jump into the fourth comic now. Okay, so next comic in the series is called Smoke and Shadow, and what cool with these comics is they kind of take place one after the other, or like you know, in conundrum with uh beats that are going on at the same time. Which goes see with this one and the next one. So at the end of the last comic, Katara and Sokka left for the Southern Water Tribe to finally go back there and see their dad and everything, and their grand and all that, and Grandpa Ku and all that. Um, so the storyline here is that Zuko is returning to the Fire Nation, and it turns out that there's this like new secret society, which we've heard mentioned like a couple of times in previous comics, called um, the New Ozai Society. Is basically this group of people. They want Ozai back on the throne. Don't know why, because he's not a firebender anymore. I feel like that would be important to them. Um, but they believe that like Zuko is not doing everything to protect his people, and the society is run by if you remember the Return to Amashu episode, the governor of New Ozai, basically the one that was May's father, right? He's the sort of like leader of the New Ozai society, and there's these spirits called the Kamaragagi that are kidnapping children and stuff in the Fire Nation, and he convinces the townspeople that it's all Zuko's fault, and there's whole like assassinations and everything, and all this stuff. So Zuko, he decides to go find what's going on. So he works with May, who has a new boyfriend that was actually a spy for the New Ozai Society before becoming a spy for May and all this. It's very she's using him at first, but then the relationship kind of develops into like more. Um, but then there's this whole thing going on with her and Zuko, where Zuko still cares about her and everything. And I'm gonna talk about some of the relationship stuff at the end because there's one relationship dynamic I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil anything. I want to save that for the end of the video, which just actually turned out to be a very long video. I'm just saying. I'm filming this at 12:31 a.m. Um, because I have a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, and I might be going out of town, and I need to get this done. So anyway, guys, back to the comic. So May's brother gets kidnapped and all thing, and they go to learn more about these spirits and everything. They find out this story about when the Fire Nation was just like war torn lands and stuff, and like there was basically barbarians or whatever you have you running around. Um, there was a person who kidnapped all these children or something, and it left these mothers in anguish, and they became these spirits, and they started kidnapping children. So one day, like the first guy who became the Fire Lord, he fixed everything. He got rid of the barbarians and stuff, and the spirits were like finally appeased. Turns out the spirits that are doing this now aren't spirits. They're actually Azula and a bunch of her cohorts. That's right, Azula is back. She's the one having the children kidnapped, and because all this stuff going on, Zuko is making like all these laws and stuff, and basically not treating the citizens how they feel they should be treated, even treating them like criminals, even though they're not criminals, right? And Azula's now she's not acting all crazy and stuff. I mean, she's still crazy, but she's not like deranged and seeing stuff. She's perfectly focused, and her new mission in life is to basically make Zuko the best Fire Lord as she sees one should be. So she's trying to make Zuko like her and all this stuff. Um, and this like plays out and everything, right? Um, there's some fun stuff that happens here. Zuko and May at the end, May boyfriend breaks up with her, and it seems like Zuko and May might get back together, but not fully. We don't know, right? Aang helps Zuko and everything to do all this stuff. So while Katara and Sokka go to the Southern Water Tribe, Aang's here helping Zuko and everything. And it's very fun, it's very mysterious. We kind of see like how easy it is for like people to get panicked or everything. Like kids are being kidnapped, like it's crazy, and like people are starting to turn against like Zuko, and like um May's dad is just like causing crazy shit, right? Very fun storyline. Enjoyed it very much. I would definitely give this one another 10 out of 10. The last one I'm gonna rate. The last one I'm gonna rate 6 out of 10. Um, so the Rift 6 out of 10. This one 8 out of 10. Like I said, I just read all these recently. I don't remember like every detail, and I'm bad at describing things, but I'm gonna talk about one specific thing at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, the North and South. So sorry if I seem tired while filming these because I am trying to get a couple videos done tonight to release over the week. But anyways, let's jump into comic number 5, North and South. So this one we see like what happened with Qatar and Sokka when they went back um, to the Southern Water Tribe, and they see that it's completely changed. There's now like palaces and stuff. There's a city and stuff. The North has basically come and is like helping them, become like more like modern, right? And Hakoda, their father, is now like he's not just a chief; he's like the head chief, right? And so they're working with the North to kind of like bring them more into like their centerfold of like working with other nations and stuff, right? And there's another group of Southern War Tribe members who don't like this, run by a man named Gylek, and he believes that like they're destroying their customs and everything, and that these people from the north just want them to be like themselves. Which turns out kind of true. There's a couple of people from the north. The two main people running this is like this woman named Melina and her brother, whose name I can't remember right now. But Hakoda and Melina fall in love. And Kotora kind of struggles with Sokka. He accepts it, and everything. Kotora really struggles with this. Sorry, I heard something. Um, so this whole thing she can deal with, and she kind of believes that yeah, we should keep the Southern Water Tribe nation. We should keep its culture the way it was and everything. There's like too many changes and stuff. So a lot of these comics, like most of them, like Aang and Katara, are them dealing with like the way the world is changing and everything. It's people are working together, firebenders, earthbenders, waterbenders. It's a whole new world, because there's no war going on, and they're seeing like just stuff start to like advance real quickly, like machinery and all that, their culture, cities and stuff, just rising out of the ground. And it's really a shock to Katara to see it happening to her home and everything. Um, so they bring in the Earth King and the Fire Lord Zuko to basically discuss like matters of bringing the Southern War Tribe into, like I said, the folds of working with other nations and stuff, and being a part of that, being a part of like war affairs and all that. Well, the Earth King gets kidnapped by Gallic and everything. There's this whole thing where they want to trade Coda for him back. Gallic tries to kill both of them. It doesn't work out. Aang saves the day. Zuko saves the Earth King and all that. Um, Gallic falls to his death and dies. And Katara saves Melina's life and all that, and accepts her as part of the family, and that she's now, Hakoda, loves her and all this stuff, and she has to accept it and everything. So another one there, another fun read. Um, another one that's not my favorite. Um, but that's okay. It's a very fun read. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10 because it was cool, like seeing like how the Southern War Tribe is becoming what it becomes in Legend of Korra and everything. So yeah. Anyways, let's jump into the last and final one, which has some very interesting things about it. So I have a lot more to talk about this last one than I did these last couple. Like, I love the promise. I love the search. The rift, I thought was okay, but I didn't really care for it. Smoke and Shadows is like pretty cool, but a lot happens in it. There's a lot that happens in it. Um, and then this one, North and South. Um, this was pretty straightforward. Um, so it's very simple read. It's very simple and quick read. The other ones I lost how happens. This one. So this one, I think I said I'll give it a 6 out of 10, or did I say 7? I don't remember. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But let's move on to the last comic, Imbalance. Alright, here we go. The last comic in this comic series, Imbalance. So this comic, we see Team Avatar, minus Zuko, because he's busy ruling the Fire Nation and everything. Um, we see Team Avatar return to Earth Refinery, the little refinery that we saw in the Rift in that small town. And it turns out this small town, which was just like the refinery and a couple buildings and whatnot, and a restaurant, is now like almost like a bustling, not like a city, but like a large, very large village that just has benders and non-benders living together, and um, there's like a fights going on between benders and non-benders, um, because machinery is now allowing non-benders to do the same sort of menial tasks as like a bender would be able to do. Um, it's causing I can't think of the word for it. It's causing a struggle between the two sides, right? Between non-benders and benders, right? And like they have this business council in this town and stuff, and Aang's trying to figure out, how they can like resolve everything peacefully, and all of a sudden, non-bender owned facilities start getting burned down. Well, it turns out all this stuff is being done by this woman named Laline, who believes that non-benders have no place, in authority or anything. They're like the lowest of the low and everything. And she wants them like out of town. She wants like Cranefish Town to only be for benders. And so she's doing all this stuff, and she has like two daughters. One, she's an earthbender herself, and then she has a daughter who's an earthbender, and then she has a daughter who's a non-bender, who she's just basically manipulating her kids to do her business and everything. And Aang and the gang find out, and we get to a point where like he has to make a decision on how to deal with all this. Well, Toph makes a suggestion like, "Hey, you took away Fire Lord Ozai's bending, to end the war, why don't you just take away her bending, you know, so she can't like cause any more harm either? And Aang and Katara, they had like discussion. Katara's like, bending is a part of me. If you take that away from somebody, you're taking away their identity. You had no choice with the Fire Lord because like who he was, what he was doing. But you don't know that Liling's gonna go to those extremes. It has to be like if you're gonna do this, it has to be for the right reasons. And Liling just like won't relent. She's doing everything she can. She actually turns against her non-bending daughter, who actually turns against her and like learns chi blocking. And she started a police force, which like Aang and them like at the end they take over after they beat her. I don't remember how they beat her. So I read all of these in a week, so some of the details are kind of fuzzy. Um, I just want to talk about how crazy these comics are. They have so much stuff in them. You should definitely check them out. They're a very fun read. I know I didn't do them too well of justice. This one, I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10 because I actually enjoyed reading this one. Um, but Cranefish Town is what eventually is going to become Republic City. In fact, if you read the comic, there's one certain panel that shows like the layout of Crayfish Town and everything, and you can see it's like the same exact like layout as layout as Republic City. You can see like where the Aang statue is and like where Air Temple Island is and all that. So these comics, they're really like set up like small things that we're gonna see like in Korra, like with North and South. We kind of start to see the relationship between the North and South and how that goes, and also like the Southern War Tribe um, becoming more and more like developed and everything. In this one, we kind of see that struggle between non-benders and benders like playing out before we see any of it in Korra. Except in this one, the difference is in this one, instead of it being like a bender that was like trying to get non-benders to stand up against benders and all that, this one was a bender trying to get benders to stand up against non-benders and all that. But anyways, guys, these comics were very fun to read. Um, I enjoy reading all of them. Right now, I'm reading the Legend of Korra comics. I'm on the first one right now. I think there's like 3 out right now. I don't know. Imbalance was the last Avatar comic to come out, and since they're working on the new animated series and those animated movies, I think they decided to take a break from the comics to like work on the movies and stuff for like the new studio and all that. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, leave a comment down below. Um, I'm sorry I kind of rambled on. Like I said, I'm filming a bunch of videos tonight to have released during the week while I'm out of town. So please forgive me. Try and get these done quickly. But if you enjoyed watching me ramble and talk about this series, um, I almost forgot what I wanted to talk about in the video. I'm gonna do a second video and talk about one thing that I noticed in these comics that I have some questions about. So, anyways, that video will be coming out after this one. Um, so anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Drop a like, leave a comment. Love you guys. See you in the next video.